I'm sick this week, so I am limited in both brain and willpower, and I need a project that's relatively easy to do. Luckily, my mother has been asking me to help her with one of her projects for months. She bought these stamps for clay, but they don't leave a deep enough indentation in the clay for her. So she wanted me to make her something that would leave a deeper indent, and it is finally the time to do that. So typically when I'm dealing with a project like this, where there's a product that already exists in the space, the first thing that I'll usually do is check websites like Printables to see if they already have designs that fit my requirements, because if you don't need to do the work, there's no sense in reinventing the wheel. So we can check there real quick. And from a quick search, it looks like there are some letter stamps, but they don't look quite like what my mother requested from me. She wanted a font like American typewriter, which is like a serif, and this doesn't quite look right. So we'll have to make our own. For a project like this, we could come to a CAD suite like Onshape and draw and extrude our stamp, draw and extrude our letters, but we'd have to do that for every single letter. And then we'd have to do that for all the symbols, and that sounds like a lot of work. I don't want to have to do that. So I was thinking about how we could do it all at once efficiently without really having to put a ton of effort into this. And I came across OpenSCAD, which is programmatic CAD. And in OpenSCAD, with a little bit of code, we can do all of them at once, like this. OpenSCAD is pretty new to me, but I think it's really interesting, so hopefully some of you will too. So let's just go over how this works really quick. So we start off by defining a couple of variables. The first one is a string that contains all of the letters that we want to use for our stamps. The second one is the length of that string. Then we have the number of rows, and I only made this variable because I needed a way to split it into multiple rows so that the resulting STL would fit on my 3D printer. Then we have the magnet depth, so this is just how deep the hole in the side of all these stamps is. Then we have the magnet resolution, where if we zoom in, we can actually see that there are actually a bunch of faces here. This changes the number of faces that we see. So if we change that, see all the faces got a little bit bigger because I said only 50 faces. We can make it like 20 and there will be a huge difference. So this is just how many faces you want for each of the circles. So then we have the X and Y clearance, which is just the space between each of the stamps. Here we're going through all the rows, and we are then setting a Y position for the stamp that we're currently on. Then we're going through all the individual stamps in a column. We're setting an X position. Then we're calling this method difference, which is this whole section here. And in this section, we make a cube, and then we make cylinders. So each of these cylinders is one of those magnet holes. So what it does is it makes this cylinder and then it cuts it out of the cube. So we do that 4 times, once for each of the magnets. Then we move the stamp that we just created to its correct position based on X and Y positions that we calculated earlier. We change the color, and finally we make our actual text element. We move it to the right place, color it red, extrude it, and this is the actual part that defines the text object, which in this case is American typewriter, because that's what my mom wanted. So every time we make an object, so in this case a cylinder, you can call functions on it before making the object, just like this. So here we're rotating this cylinder, and here we're moving this cylinder to its correct place, and here we are coloring it blue. Now I know that this type of thing isn't necessarily for everyone, but I hope it gave you some understanding of what's going on, how to do it, and maybe encourage you to do your own project like this. And I know that projects like this might seem daunting to some of you, but you shouldn't let it be. If college taught me anything, it's that learning is a skill. And the more you practice, the better you get. So in the age of information, where you can find almost anything online for free, you can do anything. And one more tip from me to all you aspiring makers: if I was going to recommend any singular tool, it would be a 3D printer. They're really cheap nowadays, the material's really cheap, they're incredibly versatile, and you don't even have to design stuff to use them. There's repositories of free models that people have already made online that you can just use for free. And chances are people have already made a lot of the stuff that you want. So go make something. It was my birthday the other day, so the newsletter from Tom Scott and all your views and subs has really felt like a birthday present, and I really appreciate that. Thank all of you. But Audrey took me to Micro Center for the first time for my birthday, and while I was there, we picked up some really snazzy PLA from CookieCAD, and I think we're going to use this for my mother's stamps. Welcome to our mess of a workshop. Needs a little bit of a clean, but that's not my problem today. Got the Prusa Mini, and this is gonna make some stamps for us. Just got our parts off the printer, and a slight problem, but it's okay, we can fix that. All better. You can see some little stringy wisps on some of these letters, but that's nothing that a blowtorch can't take care of. That looks much better to me. The ones that my mom showed me had some special geometry that allowed them to lock together, but I didn't feel like messing around with that, so instead I put little holes in them so that I could shove a magnet in there. Just like that. Now I could send these to my mom as is, but just to prove my point from earlier, I'm gonna do something that's a little outside my comfort zone. I made this, which is a little holder that fits all the stamps nicely. And I got some free wood from a pallet at work. And I'm gonna try to do some woodworking to make a little box for these to go in. I've never done any woodworking before, so who knows how this is gonna go, but I'm confident I can figure it out. So let's go try it. As it turns out, the workshop being a mess was my problem because I needed to use the bench. It's been long enough that I'm not sick anymore, and I was hoping to have this project done by now, but I'm really struggling with the hand tools. Getting the pallet wood to be flat and the same thickness is really difficult. So instead of dealing with this for another huge amount of time, I decided to just buy some wood that's already flat and uniform thickness, and we're just gonna use this instead. It's only like 15 bucks. It is one haircut later, and I thought I made all my stamps, but as it turns out, I'm missing a couple. So I must not have done such a great job with my sick brain with the OpenSCAD. But I'm gonna post all the code on GitHub, and my challenge to you guys is to try to fix it. And some of you might notice that the quality of this image might appear a little bit different. I'm not sure how obvious it'll be, but that's because I am no longer filming from my phone. I got a real camera, and I am really excited about learning everything I can about making videos. All of my new videos will be filmed on this camera from here on out, and I can't tell you how excited I am. So here's the project finished, and is it perfect? Absolutely not. I'm definitely no Mattistello, but I'm happy with it, and I'm sure my mom will be too. So we're gonna call this good, we're gonna ship this off to her, and hopefully she gets some great use out of it. If you watched this far into the video, I just wanna say thank you very much, and I appreciate it. I'm still working on part 2 of the litter box video, as well as some other projects that I am very excited about. So I hope you'll stick around. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the YouTube stuff to make the algorithm happy. Thank you. I'm doing my best to make these videos incrementally better, and for this episode, I tried to reduce the number of jump cuts.